Alright, so here are the stairs that I'm going to attempt to 3D model based off the measurements that I'm going to give you here in a minute. Alright, so real life work, I'm going to 3D model the first 2 flights. Alright, and I have a scale dimension already figured out for us.
All right, so you saw the stairs outside the door here. That's in our school building. What we're going to do today is we're going to use the duplicate tool, and we're going to recreate those stairs. So go ahead and get into TinkerCad and click Create New Design. And once this opens up, I'm going to show you how to create, a duplicate, a scale model duplicate, obviously. Because if you remember, the measurements that I gave were 12 inches by 54 inches by 7 inches, right? Well, if you remember, our grid is only, 8 inches wide by 8 inches wide, actually 7.87. So what we're going to do today is we're actually going to leave the grid alone. We're going to leave the grid in millimeters, and we're going to create a scale model. Now, a cool thing that TinkerCad has to offer is up here in the right-hand corner, and it's the Notes tool. As an engineer, you have to keep a lot of notes, and you normally do that in what's called an engineering notebook. But in TinkerCAD, you could write it down on paper. Problem is, here in the school building, we lose a lot of things like that. In the real world, some people hate writing on paper in 2022, so they keep a lot of digital notes, or they keep a digital file. Well, in this particular case, we can drag the note tool by clicking on it, dragging it over here to the work plane, or it doesn't have to be on the work plane, anywhere on the screen, and we can edit a note. We can leave a note here, and then if we need to edit it later, we can do that. I have not found out what the maximum amount of characters is yet. I've not maxed it out. In this particular case, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about our scale model. You know, in math, there's scale models. In design, there's scale models. And so in this case, we're going to have it as 1 inch is equal to 1 millimeter. And what I should actually write there is what my scale is. So I'm going to go back to the beginning, and I'm going to type scale. Is 1 inch is equal to 1 millimeter. And so for this particular design, my scale is going to be 1 inch is equal to 1 millimeter. I can leave that as is. I can hit the minus button, and then it just shows that I've got a note on the screen. And I can just leave that sitting there so that if I were ever to leave this design and come back, I could be like, what are these little, why are they so small? Well, there it is. And if I'm going to put, I could put exactly what it is out there. I could put center, stairwell, recreation, whatever, right? So let me show you, let me just jump right in and let me show you how we're going to create a scale model. Move my video back over here, and I'm going to go ahead and just drag a box over because this is going to be the easiest thing in terms of recreating a stair. And then the next item I'm going to have to do is drag my ruler over to the work plane. Now for my class, let's do this first. Before we go any further, go ahead and change this to assignment 4. I already have assignment 4 on my list. You should probably have assignment 3. Hit the 3, hit the backspace, drop the 4 in. In terms of the grid, today we're going to leave it in millimeters because we're going to use that scale model. So again, and I'll put it on the screen in the video, but I'm going to speak it now. It was a 12 inch by 54 inch by 7 inch stair. So that was 12 inches in width, which is right here, 54 inches in length, and it was 7 inches in height, which is right here, right? Now, there it is. That's pretty much it. That's all the more I have to do in terms of recreating that stair. Today I want to show you these little numbers over here, right? This tells you how far this is from the, from where you placed it, right? So it's 19 all the way down, -3. But where I placed it, see that circle, right? That circle is the starting coordinate for my particular shape. So that's actually going to come in handy today. What I'm going to do is try to put it right here in the corner, right? Right there in the corner. And so now it looks like I am 20 millimeters in and 12 inches up. 12 inches up, I'm going to leave it like that just because it's going to be nice and easy. to move the right amount of space when we duplicate this. So duplicate is pretty simple. Duplicate it's not copy and paste. It's duplicating your actions. So if you move the item up or down, left or right, back or forth, and duplicate, that action will be duplicated in TinkerCad. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and, since the item's already selected, I'm going to come up here to the duplicate tool. And if you're a keyboard shortcut person, you can just hit Control D, and that will duplicate that. Now, underneath this, or inside of it, however you want to call it, there's an exact duplicate. Now, I find the keyboard to be extremely helpful in this particular situation, because if you grab the mouse and start moving it around, it's going to rotate left or right. If I just use my keys, right, in this particular case, the way the work plane and the screen is, rotated, my up arrow key, and it just depends on how you have it rotated. And again, you always have the undo button. But if I press my up arrow, you can see that it moves. Now, pay close attention to this number down here in the bottom corner, right? Because this is a 12 millimeter wide object. I want to put it 12 millimeters away, so it's right next to it. So 12 plus 12 is, y'all should have said 24. I'm going to hit that up arrow until it gets to 24. Okay, right there. And then if you rotate around, again, don't deselect. When you deselect, that messes duplicate up. But you can see that they're touching and they're right side by side. Now, at the same time, the stairs aren't level with each other. They rise up. Well, how far do they rise up? Well, they're 7 inches tall. So in this particular case, I need it 14 millimeters off the ground, because the first one is 7 millimeters from 0 to 7, right? I'm sorry, I need it 7 millimeters off the ground, because the first one is literally sitting on the ground at 0 right here. The second one I want at 7. And so again, I would not try to raise it. I would use the tools right here at your disposal and type these numbers in. So you're going to type 7 and watch what happens to that stair once it loads. So now what has happened is I slid it over 12 millimeters, still touching. It's 12 millimeters forward this way, right? And now it's 7 millimeters off the ground. Now again, as long as you have not touched it and this item is still selected, TinkerCad remembers exactly what I did. It remembers that I slid it forward 12 millimeters. It remembers that I raised it 7. So if I come back up here to the duplicate tool and I press it again, or if I hit Control D on the keypad, watch what happens. So when you're talking about creating an entire stairwell, this is pretty simple, because actually TinkerCad's going to do it for you. And there were 9 stairs. So I've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9. I got 9 stairs. Now, there was a landing there. So I'm going to recreate the landing as well. And then we're going to turn left and go up to the next level, right? So instead of stopping my duplicate, I'm going to duplicate it one more time. And then I'm just going to change some dimensions here, because it was still 7 inches tall. It was still 54 inches wide, but now it needs to be 58 inches deep. And with our scale, that's going to be 58 millimeters. And that's this number right here, 12. This 12 needs to change to a 58. And watch what happens. Once I do that, now I have the platform, right? Now, it turns left and goes up. Now, that might be really fast for some of you guys, and that's cool, because you just hit the pause button and you rewind back and you watch that section again. Or if you're in class, you raise your hand and I can come over and give you some guidance there. But that's how simple duplicate is. Like, look how fast I created those stairs, right? Now let's turn left and go up. So in this particular case, right, I don't want to duplicate again, because if I duplicate, it's going to keep going that direction. I need to turn left. So I'm going to go ahead and click on it, and then I'm just going to use my left arrow key. Oh, I forgot to duplicate it. So hit the undo button. Now I'm going to click off. That ends my duplicate run, my duplication. If I click on this again, and now I hit duplicate, I can slide over to the left. And I can slide over exactly 54 millimeters, right? If you would have looked where it was, you can count the numbers down here. You just want to make sure that when you slide over, this is where these numbers come into play. I told you we would use them at some point, right? if I would have taken this all the way back, I could have counted 54 millimeters and it would have given me this number, right? And so whatever it was plus 54 would have given me that number, right? Or subtract 54 because I'm going to the left. But in this particular case, here it is, my 58 millimeter wide, 54, it's 54 millimeters wide, but it's 58 deep, right? I want to change this back to, let's see, 58, which one do I have to change? I have to change this 58. No, I don't. I'm sorry. I have to change this 54 to 12 inches deep now. So if I go ahead and type 12 here, that should shrink that back down, except I wanted it to shrink the other way, but that's okay. Now I'll just go ahead and slide this all the way back over. Come on now. There we go. Slide this all the way back over. Now this is where I should have been doing the math, but we can do it by look. I'll be okay with that. So now I've got my stair again, okay? So my stair is now connected, and now I need to raise that up an additional 7 inches, or in this case 7 millimeters. So if you look right here behind the stair, that's 63. So at this point, we are 63 inches off the ground, which is, what, 5 feet 3 inches. So it's 5 feet 3 inches up. And so we need to make that a little bit higher, which is another 7 inches, which would be 70. So if I type 70, that should raise that up another 7 millimeters or 7 inches. Now I have my stair. Okay? So now I should be able to duplicate it, but if not, I'm going to have to duplicate this one. But let's just see what happens if I do it. What happened? Well, that's what the undo button's for. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this. I'm going to duplicate it now. I'm going to slide it over 12 millimeters. There we go. I'm going to raise it up another 7 from 70 to 77. It should pop up in the air, and now I can duplicate it. I believe there was another 9 stairs up, so I have 2. I just need to go 7 more. So we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't really know if it was 9 up, but that's what I said when I was counting, so I don't know. But there we go. There's your stairs. Now here's the deal, right? If I click off of this and I just go grab that stair and pull it out, that, you know, that kind of messed up my whole thing. But again, you can hit the undo. So what I would do if I were you is I would zoom out like this, highlight the whole thing, and then just go ahead and group it together up here. There we go. And now if I take my stairs and move it back and forth, it's just fine. Now what I want you to do in terms of my class and in terms of the assignment is I want you to create a duplicate of something else. Something. I want some sort of shape. You can do it in circles. You can do it side by side. Like if you watch, where did I found popsicle sticks. All right, popsicle sticks are in everyday objects. And watch what happens. If I bring one of these on, I can do it with this color. It's fun to change the colors though. So let's do blue. And let's get duplicate button up here. Let's rotate it 5 degrees. And now watch, duplicate. Look at that. Let's spin the whole thing in circles. Now at the very last part, right, if I want to change the color, I'll go ahead and I'll change that color to, like, say green. And I'm going to rotate around here. And then I'm going to hit the duplicate button again, and I'm going to rotate it. And now watch this. Hit the duplicate button again. And then if I wanted to change that last color to something else, I could just keep rotating around. And then I'm going to find my, where is it? Is this it? Rotate it a little bit more. I forgot to hit the duplicate button, didn't I? So hit the duplicate button. Oh no, I did. There we go. And then just finish out my thing. And that's a pretty cool looking shape, right? Now when it 3D prints, unfortunately, in our printers, it's going to print one color, but it's cool to look at on here, right? And if you group it together, watch what happens when you group it together. It actually takes away all those lines. And it doesn't look quite as cool because of the fact that it takes away the lines. But then again, it kind of does. You know, it kind of does. So anyway, here's what I want you to do to cut this video short. I want you to create the stairs, and then for the last 20 points of your assignment, I want you to duplicate something. And I'm not talking about boxes in a straight line. Give me some sort of design, up or down, diagonal, in a circle, you know, stars, you know, circling around, whatever it is. Find a cool shape. Popsicle stick is fine if you want to do the exact same thing I did, and duplicate it into a pattern. All right? So we're looking for stairs, we're looking for popsicle sticks, and we're looking for you to create a note. Hi, Mr. Moore, what my scale model is, whatever you want, drop a note in there. Assignment 4, and leave the grid in millimeters. And that's the assignment for today. All right? Any questions, let me know. I'm always here for you. And I'll give you some help when I need to. So, when you need it, I mean. Any questions, let me know. All right, I'll see you next time.